A U.S. passport once provided effortless access to nearly any country, requiring only a scan and a smile. However, this is no longer the case. The welcome mat for Americans is being quietly and relentlessly withdrawn across the globe. In 2025, more countries are telling Americans to pack their bags and leave. Being deported doesn't take much, whether it's a visa overstay, a political tweet, or an Airbnb in the wrong neighborhood. Today, getting kicked out doesn't require breaking the law, but rather crossing an invisible line you didn't know existed. So, what's fueling this backlash? It's more than just bureaucracy. It's resentment, border crackdowns, and a rising tide of nations tightening their grip on who gets to stay and who gets kicked out. From Europe to Asia to Latin America, the message is clear: the era of American privilege abroad is cracking, and the consequences are severe. This episode will break down the 10 countries that are now deporting Americans. Some of the reasons might make your blood run cold, because when a country decides you are no longer welcome, there is no appeal and no warning. Just a knock, a stamp, and a one-way flight home. Watch until the end. This isn't just a list, it's a wake-up call. If you want more global stories that are not being told back home, like this video and hit subscribe, because next time it could be your destination that turns into your departure. Number 1, Russia. If there is one country where pack your bags and go, Americans, is not just a threat but a policy, it's Russia. This is no longer just a cold front in diplomacy, it is open season. The Kremlin is not hiding its stance. In 2025, Russia has become one of the most hostile environments for U.S. citizens abroad, where being American is not just an identity but a liability. Americans are being kicked out under charges so vague they barely qualify as legal. These include visa issues that didn't exist yesterday, political conversations overheard at a cafe, or simply standing in the wrong place during a public gathering. There are no warnings and no formal processes, just detention, questioning, and an escort to the airport. It's not just activists or journalists in the crosshairs. Tourists, students, businesspeople, and even longtime residents are being swept up in a crackdown that feels more like a purge than a policy. Foreign NGOs are being treated as enemy operatives. American entrepreneurs are accused of violating obscure business ethics laws and deported overnight. There is no trial and no second chance. Once you're kicked out, don't expect to come back. Many have been stamped persona non grata, a lifetime ban from Russian soil with no appeal or explanation. This isn't paranoia, it's reality. Russia is leading the charge in a disturbing new global trend: deporting Americans under the guise of national security. The message is clear and louder than ever: you're not welcome here. Number 2, India. India might not be the first country that comes to mind when you think of deportation risks. However, in recent years, a growing number of Americans have been quietly expelled, often for reasons that fly under the radar, such as overstayed visas, unregistered volunteer work, or even casual involvement in religious events. India's immigration enforcement has entered a new era, more digitized, more vigilant, and far less forgiving. Long known as a destination for spiritual retreats and cultural immersion, the country is now tightening scrutiny on long-term visitors, especially those arriving on tourist visas. What used to go unnoticed, such as teaching yoga at an ashram, volunteering at a school, or speaking at a faith-based event, can now trigger legal consequences. Even without intent, actions that blur the line between tourism and mission work are being flagged as violations. Dozens of Americans have been detained and deported for proselytizing or participating in religious functions, some unaware they were in breach of any rule. Others have been caught in the web of India's dense bureaucratic system, where a missed visa renewal or a failure to register with the local foreigners' regional registration office can lead to immediate expulsion. With rising national security concerns and a renewed effort to curb foreign influence, India is no longer looking the other way. The leniency once assumed by many Western travelers has faded, and Americans are no exception. Number 3, Indonesia. For years, Bali was a paradise of sun, surf, and a soft spot for American digital nomads. But today, that dream is cracking. If you're not careful, Indonesia might just be the next place to say, "Pack your bags and go, Americans." So what changed everything? The Indonesian government has drawn a new, stricter line in the sand. Foreigners, especially Americans, are now finding themselves kicked out for reasons that would have once been brushed off. Working remotely on a tourist visa is a violation. Posting yoga pictures in sacred places without proper attire is a problem. Launching a business or freelancing on the side means you are not just breaking the rules, you're breaking trust. And here is the part many people never see coming. Immigration officers are watching, and not just at airports but online. Your Instagram, your LinkedIn, and your blog are all evidence. If your lifestyle doesn't match your visa, you could be on the next flight out, with no appeal or negotiation. Some Americans have even been deported over traffic violations, motorbike stunts, or simply showing too much skin at a temple. In Bali, that is not just bad manners, it is a cultural offense. Indonesia is done with blurred lines. This isn't about tourism anymore, it's about control, image, and national pride. They are not making exceptions, no matter how long your digital nomad journey has been. The question now is not if they are watching but how closely. If you are already living there or planning to, you might want to double-check your visa status before someone else does it for you, because this list of 10 countries deporting Americans is not done yet. Number 4, Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia has skyscrapers rising from the desert and oil wealth flowing like a river. But for many Americans working there, it is not luxury they are experiencing, it is a lockdown. Saudi Arabia is not just conservative, it is one of the most controlled societies on earth. If you are an outsider, especially an American, you do not get exceptions, you get consequences. Here, the rules are different. Alcohol is illegal. Private social gatherings can land you in a cell. A social media post deemed offensive to Islamic values alone can get you arrested or worse, deported. There's no trial, no warning, just being gone. And it's not just about religion. The Saudiization policy has added a new layer of pressure. The government wants Saudi nationals in foreign-held jobs. So, even if you play by every rule, your visa could vanish overnight. One HR decision and you are out. Then there is the silent surveillance. Foreign workers live under constant watch. If an employer complains or if you get caught in any legal dispute, you are at risk. The system does not lean in your favor, it closes in. For Americans in Saudi Arabia, the paycheck might be big, but so is the price of staying. Every day is a line you cannot afford to cross. Number 5, Mexico. Mexico is close and familiar. For years, it has felt like a second home for thousands of Americans seeking sun, savings, and a slower pace. But now, Mexico is drawing a line. Despite deep ties with the United States and its ongoing popularity with retirees and remote workers, the country has begun removing Americans at a pace not seen in decades. Immigration enforcement is getting stricter, especially with the rise in foreigners staying long-term without formal residency. The 6-month tourist visa used to be a loophole many Americans worked around by repeatedly leaving and re-entering, but that cycle is being shut down. Border agents are now denying entry or expelling those found living full-time in Mexico without proper authorization. The crackdown goes even further. Americans who skip tax obligations, breach property laws, or cause friction in local neighborhoods are now facing consequences. Some remote workers and social media creators have even been deported after officials reviewed their public content. This is no longer the Mexico that quietly looked the other way. National enforcement is stronger, and public sentiment is shifting. Americans who act as if the rules do not apply are learning just how much they do. The removals are not rare, they are growing. Number 6, Thailand. Thailand has always drawn Americans in search of a more affordable lifestyle, warm weather, and a sense of adventure. Cities like Bangkok, Chiang Mai, and Pattaya have long supported large expat populations. But what many fail to realize is how strict Thai immigration has become. Even short overstays can result in immediate removal and blocked re-entry. Immigration authorities now enforce the rules with little tolerance, conducting surprise checks at apartments, shared workspaces, and tourist hotspots. Americans working remotely while staying in Thailand without proper authorization are especially vulnerable. The fact that their employer is based in the U.S. does not matter. If they are caught working without a valid permit, deportation often follows. Beyond visas, cultural respect is taken seriously. Taking part in protests, criticizing national institutions, or saying anything negative about the monarchy can lead to arrest, blacklisting, and expulsion. Some Americans have ended up in immigration detention before being sent home and permanently barred from returning. Number 7, Philippines. With a shared language and deep historical ties, the Philippines has long felt like a natural fit for Americans seeking a new base. Retirees and remote workers once saw it as one of the easiest countries to settle in. That perception no longer holds. Deportations are rising sharply. Immigration officials now take firm action against visa violations, unresolved legal issues, and even conduct deemed inappropriate under local standards. Many Americans believe they can overstay tourist visas or remain indefinitely without official residency. That assumption is proving costly. Authorities have tightened oversight, and background checks during renewals are turning up old legal cases or past convictions, grounds enough for removal. The list of violations has grown. Running unregistered businesses, working without proper documentation, or causing disruptions in public spaces can trigger immediate classification as an undesirable alien. Some have even been deported for speaking out on political or religious issues, which remain sensitive in the country. Number 8, United Arab Emirates. Dubai and Abu Dhabi attract Americans with promises of high income and luxury. But behind the skyline and beach resorts is a legal framework far stricter than what most are used to. The UAE follows rigid moral codes and enforces them without leniency. Behavior that may seem routine in the US can quickly lead to removal. Public affection, strong language, alcohol without a license, or online posts that offend cultural norms have all resulted in arrests and forced departures. Even minor public disputes or complaints from residents have triggered legal action. Americans unfamiliar with local standards have found themselves detained over situations they did not expect to escalate. Recent years have seen multiple deportations tied to verbal arguments, online activity, and workplace incidents. If authorities view someone as disruptive to public order, they can be removed without a trial. In the UAE, being unaware of the rules does not protect you, it places you at risk. Number 9, Turkey. From sun-drenched ruins to winding bazaars, Turkey dazzles at first glance. But beneath the surface of its timeless beauty lies a landscape increasingly hostile to outsiders, especially Americans. In the past few years, a growing number of U.S. citizens, journalists, aid workers, and educators have been ordered out of the country. The reasons vary, but the trend is clear: speaking critically about the government, joining a demonstration, or having ties to sensitive organizations can quickly trigger official scrutiny. It does not take much. Turkey's interpretation of national security is expansive, and its response can be immediate. One high-profile case saw an American pastor jailed for months, then expelled only after a diplomatic standoff. But for every headline, there are quieter incidents. Tourists, digital nomads, and even backpackers are swept up in bureaucratic crackdowns for crossing invisible lines. Social media posts made abroad have been cited as justification for removal. In Turkey, what you say online can follow you across borders and turn into real-world consequences. Once targeted, your stay ends abruptly. In Turkey, the exit rarely comes with a warning. Number 10, China. China operates one of the most opaque and restrictive immigration systems in the world. While American students, teachers, and business professionals still live and work in cities like Beijing, Shanghai, and Guangzhou, they now do so under increasingly heavy surveillance. The Chinese government has become less welcoming to foreign influence. Americans have been singled out in political retaliation, targeted during immigration sweeps, or suspected of espionage. Some have been deported for overstaying visas or working in roles not aligned with their visa type. Others were expelled after being accused of distributing religious materials, an act that is illegal under Chinese law. Monitoring goes beyond face-to-face interactions. Internet use, social media activity, and even personal communications are under government scrutiny. In some cases, Americans facing civil legal matters like business disputes have been placed under exit bans, effectively trapped in the country until a court case ends, only to be deported later. Tensions between the United States and China have worsened, leading to more unpredictable detentions and removals. The risks are no longer limited to criminal actions. Now, even small legal issues or cultural misunderstandings can result in forced expulsion. Perceptions of American travelers and residents are changing around the globe. As more countries tighten immigration rules and enforce cultural standards more strictly, the margin for error disappears. If you plan to live abroad, know the laws, respect local norms, and stay current on visa regulations. For more insights like this, subscribe to the channel. Stay alert, stay informed, and avoid becoming the next headline.